Okay, hello everyone. Today we are going to talk about UX breakdown of WhatsApp. That's right, WhatsApp. So this is an app, this is a communication platform that we've been using for so long, and it feels like it's been so long, right? But it's not been that very long until now. But it is a very wide communication platform and it has become a part of our routine. And if you look at WhatsApp's journey, you'll be able to, if you go back to 2005 and 2009 when it actually started, we started using it later in 2010s, right? But before it had a journey, the founders had a game plan, they knew what they were doing. So let's talk about all of that in this session. We'll be talking about all of this. So let's start with how it started and the journey of how WhatsApp began. All right, so it started from competing with SMS because back then we just used SMS, right? We didn't have a communication platform like WhatsApp where we could call people, where we could video chat, where we could send stickers and images and videos and whatnot. So now it has become the biggest communication platform. And WhatsApp was founded by Brian Acton and Jan Koum in 2009. So their idea was that, no ads, no games, no gimmicks, just a pure communication platform where people can actually text each other, where they can communicate with each other without having all those, interruptions that are ads. Because we all know how annoying ads get, even though we are all, victims to falling for those ads on Instagram or whatever that you see. So today you're talking about buying new shoes, and the next day you have tons of ads just about shoes on your Instagram page. So this is what happens, right? It gets annoying after a little while, but yeah, you are anyway using it because you're addicted to it and because you're familiar with the platform and all of that. So platform WhatsApp in the earlier days introduced one of its first feature, that was push notifications. So every time someone updated their status, you would get a notification saying this person has updated the status. So that was a little game, and people had fun back then because that time technology had not come so far where you could, have so much at your fingertips. You could not do so much. The functionality was very minimal. But now we've come so far. And then in version 2, people would be able to log in using just their mobile numbers, which is very friendly. And compared to Skype and Google G Talk. So these were things that used to work back then. So I remember when I used to go to my grandparents' home for summer vacations, they used to Skype call my uncle who was living abroad. So it used to be such a complicated process. It's like, okay, 7 p.m., we are going to sit down and then open up the laptop, log into Skype, and then share the ID and all that. It was such a complicated process. Now it's super easy. All you have to do is just pick up your phone, click on that one button, and you're calling someone, you're chatting with them instantly. So it's become that easy, right? So then WhatsApp started with competing with SMS platforms and putting through simple features, and now they've become such a big thing. And in 2009, when in 2009 November, I think around November, WhatsApp was launched officially on the App Store for iPhones, where you could send messages for free over the internet. So that was something that was very new. SMS, you would have your roaming data or your roaming charges, but sending messages over the internet was free, and that was very intriguing, that was very interesting, that was something that people were curious about. So that is why everything skyrocketed from there. And one of the very important decisions that the founders made was to not get into an advertising business model for their product, which they easily could, but they wanted to create a safe environment for users to just chat and send each other pictures and without having ads pop up everywhere. So that is a classic example of putting the user's needs first. Right? So WhatsApp is one of those like classic examples. So whose entire UX is built around categorizing and catering to the user's needs. So right now, the platform is pretty much something that we use in our daily lives. We wake up and we check our WhatsApp, we check our Instagram, we check all of these social media apps, and we are so accustomed to it. Even though it had a brief setback earlier this year with the privacy issues and all that, right? But we still continue using it. So let me know how many of you actually are still using WhatsApp, because a lot of people shifted to Telegram during that time, but a lot of people also continued using WhatsApp. So what about you guys? Are you still using WhatsApp? Did you completely shift to Telegram or Signal? What is the scene? Let me know in the chat. Because the privacy concerns were something that everyone was worried about, right? And WhatsApp also put up a status on their very own platform explaining that it was completely safe and there was nothing to worry about. So yeah, Seiko Shaga says he's using all. So that's how it is. Once you get familiarized with a particular product, with a particular platform, it is very hard to leave it. It is very hard to let go and jump to a very new platform. So it's easy for us, for our generation, because we are used to interacting with technology and using different apps, and we accustom ourselves easily with all these new features. But when it comes to older people, if I talk about my grandparents or any old people, you will be able to see that they take time in getting accustomed to one particular app. So WhatsApp has been a very, it's been a delight because everyone's been able to use it very easily. The interface is built so simple, the structure is so simple that it is just seamless. So even your grandparents or a little kid is able to log into WhatsApp and just chat and send messages and type and all of that. So right now, your the old people and grandparents will be able to access and use WhatsApp very easily. But if you tell them to shift to another new platform, say Telegram or Signal, they are going to take a little bit of time to get accustomed to that, right? So that is also how user experience plays a major role, because not every platform has that intuitive level of design that instantly you're able to understand everything that's going on. And if you look into most of these platforms, like Telegram and WhatsApp and all the communication platform, you'll be able to see that there are certain similarities. And that is the only reason why they are also working. Because if you look at 10 different platforms and all of them are completely different, but they are great, you are going to stick to a platform which is similar to a platform that you've already been using. That's the thing. You are not going to muster up that power to actually understand and learn a new platform, because this is the rule of familiarity. You are going to choose something that you're already familiar with, something that seems similar to you, so that the cognitive load is very low. You don't have to spend too much energy understanding anything. It just comes easy. So that's why all of these UX laws and all of these components and elements that you see in all of these platforms are very similar, because this is how it is structured. This is how human brain works. We can't take up too much information at once, and that is why the platforms are built similar. If you're building a new product, you can't make it super funky and something that's extremely new, because you will have to incorporate something into it that is familiar to the user, so that they know how to interact with it. So that is the rule of how principle of familiarity works. All right, so let's talk about the behavioral design in WhatsApp. So you find out in behavioral design, what happens is that you find out what exactly are the problems that people are facing. And then you fall in love with the problem. You analyze the problem from top to bottom, everything about it. And then you try to build solutions around it, and keeping in mind that the user is the first priority. No matter what happens, you're always designing for your users, and that's why user testing is so important. Whenever you build a product, it's not that you're going to build it and release it and leave it. You have to take feedback from your users, whether or not they're able to understand and interact with it the way that you want them to. So that is a very important part of making a product or building a product, so that it caters to the needs of the users. It's not about you, it's not about the designers, it's not about what looks great. Again, there's also a very interesting theory that talks about how if a product or a design is aesthetically pleasing, you are going to, assume, humans are going to assume that it is also very functional. That's how it works, right? Pretty things and things that look aesthetically nice, you are attracted to them by nature. And you will assume that maybe, yeah, because it looks good, it's going to be more functional. But sometimes it's true, sometimes it's not. So that's how it works. Even though we know the fact that we are attracted to aesthetically pleasing things, we still are, because that's how human behavior is. At the end, it all comes down to psychology and how our brain interacts with different things. So that is how it works. Right. So initially, WhatsApp intended to provide an easy way for everyone to communicate with each other. And so they built a system to construct a platform bit by bit. So they introduced so many new features and all of that. And now you can see they have so many new features. They have the payment feature, they have statuses and whatnot. The thing about behavioral psychology or behavioral design is that you actually know how the user is going to interact with your particular product, because this is how the brain works, this is how exactly it is supposed to work. But there's a dark side to it, because if you know how someone thinks, if you know how general human behavior goes, you can also manipulate your design, and in a way that you make them do things that are beneficial for your business. So that's what happens, right? Like Instagram and Facebook, they have ads because that's important for business. It's not completely user centric. Although no app or no product is completely user centric, it is very important to also look into the business aspects. But again, these ads and all that are purely business centric. All right, so that's how you can also, behavioral psychologists or behavioral designers, behavioral design can manipulate you to think and act a certain way. And that's how we get addicted to these apps too, right? We start scrolling through Instagram, and we never know, it's been 2 hours or 3 hours, and we keep scrolling because that's how it works. You just keep scrolling, you don't realize you're doing that anymore. It just becomes so seamless. And that's a win for the user experience designers there, because that's exactly what they want. So again, it is easy to get addicted. It is easy to make a habit out of it, because it starts anything new that you're probably getting addicted to, or social media, if we talk about. It starts with you being curious about it, right? You see this new app and you're curious about it, and then you start finding it attractive. And then when you start using it, you see nice things on it, and you're like, oh, this is nice. And what a major role in this is what plays a major role in this is your human centric design. Okay, so here what happens is that, again, the design is so manipulating. It instigates the reward center of your brain. So what happens is that you keep scrolling, you keep feeling nice, and then you keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, and then that becomes a habit of it. And the features and the behavioral psychology and behavioral design can be both beneficial and can be harmful. There's also a documentary on social media apps and how humans interact with it, which is called Social Dilemma. So I'm not sure if all of you have seen it, but I think it was released earlier this year, which is it's super interesting. It's about how the actual algorithm works, and it talks about how it's going to be in the future and all of that. So although technology has evolved so much that everything is at our fingertips, we have everything at our fingertips. We don't have to work too hard for anything. We can just send in chats any time of the day. We can send in images. We can call people any time of the day. So it's become that easy for us. But also there are toxic sides to it. So it's always important to maintain certain balance, right? So WhatsApp again has played very well in the human centric or user centric design, because they have not yet incorporated ads and all that. So let's talk about some of the features in WhatsApp, right? So I think this year itself, we have a lot of new features that have been added, like the view only once feature. I think most of us would have noticed that once you send an image, now you can change it to view only once, so that the person can't view it again. They just view it and then they can't save it to their gallery. And then there's also the join in the mist group call feature, which is extremely useful. Again, say suppose your friends are calling you and then you miss the call, and then you're like, oh shit, I'm not able to join the call again. But you can actually press on the icon and you'll be able to join the call group call. And then there's one other very important feature that blew up the world was transferring chats from iOS to Android. So I've seen a lot of people struggling with that. So that is also an amazing feature that's paid very well. And then WhatsApp payments through UPI. They're trying to incorporate and get every single thing right at your fingertips, right in one single place, one single platform. Imagine they've included WhatsApp payments as well. So that's crazy. And then you have the other feature where you can log in from multiple devices. And also there's a new voice feature where you can change the playback speed, like just like YouTube, you can change the playback speed to 1.5x or 2x. So you can also do that in WhatsApp now. That's also a very useful feature. And then there are a lot of more features you can use. The desktop app and all of that, and then voice and video calls on desktop. This was also very recently added, and you can also delete your messages after you send them and pin conversations and whatnot. So WhatsApp has covered everything. What they're doing right now is trying to bring in every single thing into one platform. They have also, improved their business model right now. So they are also WhatsApp is also going to be a very major platform for businesses to be held as well. So WhatsApp has become the center for every single thing out there. So it's just they're trying to make it the center of your ecosystem, the center of your day. So that's all about WhatsApp. We've covered most of it. If you guys have any doubts, if you have anything to talk about, you can let me know in the chat box. So this is most of what we have covered. It was a pretty simple and small session, but yeah, we've covered most of it. So you can let me know in the chats if there's anything that you would like to discuss about. Yes, multi-device login feature is also coming. Yep. That's also going to be very useful. Yeah. I think we've covered everything. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. I think we can end the recording right now, unless you all have something to talk about. You can let me know in the chat box. Okay, great. Okay, I think we can end the session now. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining and having a conversation, listening to me. If you have something to discuss, let's talk about it. You can drop it in the chat box. Otherwise, I think we can end it right now. Thank you for joining. Check out our app in the description if you're watching on YouTube. And yeah, log into our app. It's a super useful resource. It's an amazing product where you can find resources, you can access events, you can network with people, you can do multiple things just as once. It's a combination of multiple things in one single app for